On this episode, we talk about content creation, go-to-market strategies, and networking with nothing to give. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 21 of the AskEngine show. We're excited to get into the grind today. I know yesterday history was made with the Falcon Heavy.
Absolutely,
I was pretty excited. It was so cool to see both of the rockets like landing simultaneously. And then they kind of lost the drone ship and the middle one.
You know what Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, I was talking to someone last night. They were like, yeah, but he crashed the drone ship in the middle rocket. And I was like, what's the alternative? Like, nobody has ever done this. His description is my favorite. He was like, it's like trying to hold on to a rubbery broomstick in a stiff breeze with your hand.
Yeah.
He's like, and we're doing that with 3 of them.
Yeah, the amount of coordination required to land a moving rocket on a moving ship in moving water is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then to see the Tesla Roadster, I think it's like almost to Mars now. No?
It takes a while to get to Mars.
It's close though, but that live view is really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Very well done. If y'all have not checked it out, you need to check it out. Moment in history. Very, very cool to see what Elon is doing. And especially, like, I love that he can get away with, like, the quirky things that they do. Like, the Tesla Roadster in space, and then, like, the project plan is called BFR, if you know what that stands for. And I love that he's quirky like that. But got 3 questions for you today. We're going to start in with the first one, and it comes from Cora. And the question says, do you have some ideas of content to create on the social media / blog of a luggage and bag store, not just product images and descriptions? Yes, actually, you do. This question is very interesting in the sense that there is so much content that you can create. You're literally talking, bags go hand in hand with travel, and the imagery that you can do with that is just crazy. So I would recommend that you find someone who's a little bit more creative or a little bit more optimistic around content, because if you're thinking of bags and luggage as like what kind of zippers and things of that nature, you've already lost. So to give you a very great example, Away is a company that is doing a lot in the marketing space. They're a travel bag company, and they're doing a lot of things right. I mean, their Instagram feed is just beautiful imagery, and every once in a while they'll throw in a picture of their bag, but it's very well done. It's curated, and they're talking about the things that matter to their audience. The big thing is a product market fit. So you're a bag company for who? Away does a really good job of focusing on photographers, videographers, a lot of creative people. The first time I found them was through Sarah Dishi. They did a sponsored post on her YouTube channel, and they do a great job from an influence perspective. They do a great job from a content perspective, and then their website's just beautiful as well. So check them out and kind of look at them from inspiration, and then Google other travel bag companies. You've got a company that you really like?
Yeah, there's a company out of Montana called Red Ox Manufacturing, and they started out, I believe, making bags for railroad workers. So railroad workers have to travel a lot. They need luggage that's very, very durable. They don't care as much about fashion. So these bags are very blocky. They're also soft, so they can get stuffed in a corner. And from that, they have branched out to people who wanted soft luggage, who were traveling very light, one-baggers, they call them. And they do a lot of good things around content marketing, but obviously their content is very different from what you'll see on Away. They're very focused on features, they're focused on durability, and they're not the most fashionable things around, but they make no apologies for it. The other thing they're focused on is being pretty much 100% American-made, which appeals to their core audience of railroad workers. So I can't emphasize it enough what he said. You're not making the bag for everyone. You're making the bag for an audience. So you got to find that audience and just hammer them over the head with your bag, which hopefully it's a soft bag and won't hurt them.
Well, it's like looking at this one, like they have like the little details of the monkey fist, zip knots, everything about, and it's 2 very different feels. I mean, everything about this website, the Red Ox website, is like you said, it's quality, it's American made, it's tough, it's rugged, it's durable. Everything about their website speaks to that. Their entire branding is there as well. They've got amazing demo videos. Which
And
is
you
really
mentioned
cool.
the monkey fist knots. There's a story on the website about those specifically, how they're made.
Oh, okay.
It's a story all its own. So yes, they tell the story of the whole bag from start to finish. And another thing they did that was very creative, since all of their stuff is made pretty much by hand in the United States, their lead times can run to several weeks, maybe even a month or two. They decided to flip the script on that because that sounds terrible. I don't want to wait weeks or months. And they actually walk the customer through the manufacturing process of their bag as it's happening. They tell the story of the bag as it's being made, and they turn it into kind of an anticipation thing.
It's like a Domino's pizza tracker.
Yes, but
That's
for your
really
bag,
cool.
and it takes a whole lot longer. But they've managed to take something that I certainly would have seen as a downside and turn it into a marketing opportunity.
And I mean, the reviews on their website, and I'm sure this is a curated feed, but this is kind of last point for Red Ox. The reviews for Red Ox are all talking about service, quality, craftsmanship. They've got 760 reviews, 761, 4.8 stars. On Facebook, they've got 170, 4.9%, approval rate out of 5%. Then you move to Away and you look at what their reviews are coming from, and it's all about design, feel, luxury, and things of that nature. Their creative is beautiful. It's animated GIFs. It's all of these different things. So this is a really good example of product market fit. So to help you, you need to understand who you're serving. So your bag company specifically, who are you trying to target? What makes you different? How can you serve them? How can you create stories that matter to that audience? Find that product market fit and then scale and grow from there is what I would recommend. Question number 2. What have you seen to be a successful go-to-market strategy for a seed-level company? So there's a few good examples here from a seed-level company perspective. A lot of it is going to depend on what type of company you are. There's a massive difference between taking a e-commerce funded company or an e-commerce startup company that's a seed company, taking them to $1 million, 10 million, 100 million. It's a much different path than if you're enterprise level, SaaS B2B software. So I think to best help, let's give an example, of each. So B2B SaaS, what do you have a company that comes to mind there, or do you want me to take that one and you take the e-commerce?
You take that one.
Okay, so B2B SaaS, a great example of this can be HubSpot, Salesforce. They're very well documented on how they grew. Salesforce specifically has a predictable revenue book that is just written about their sales and go-to-market strategy. I want to talk specifically about one of our portfolio companies, Aptigee, because they took that model and they flipped it and they made an improvement on it, and it has led them from their seed funding to now they raised a Series A at the end of last year, and they're doing very, very well. So what Aptigee is it's a B2B company. I wouldn't call it enterprise software, but they sell to school districts. They sell a system of communication and management to school districts. And they took this predictable revenue model and they realized that they need to go very, very deep into a very small audience. They know exactly who their target market is. They know their emails. They know their phone numbers. And so they leveraged that, and they went from a go-to-market strategy. They created a sales machine. And the way that they did that is following that predictable revenue style book, the same thing that Salesforce did. They created a cadence of 23 touches for each school district, each decision maker, and they just refined and perfected that sales process. And then once that ball started rolling, they were signing up schools left and right, and that's how they grew to a predictable revenue. There's a fantastic article that we'll link in the description below, and it's from rocket.com. I think it's Rocket or Rocket Ventures. I can't remember exactly who wrote it, but it's basically the blueprint for how you go public or how you grow $1 billion company. And the first part of that is product market fit and go-to-market strategy. So we'll link that below. He does a much better job than I do of explaining it, but that's a great resource there. So e-commerce B2C.
Well, I mean, excuse me. There's the obvious elephant in the room, the big example of Jet.com, which grew by kind of exploiting and navigating the waters between Amazon and the sort of cornucopia of flash sale sites that we saw over the past 5 or 10 years. They were able to meld those two strategies together and sort of customize their revenue model almost per customer by just tuning things like delivery time and that sort of thing, and looking almost more like a group buying site than a regular e-commerce site. And from that, they've parlayed that success up to acquisition by Walmart, which
for $1 billion.
Yes, which gives them not only the money but the just the
resources, and
the inertia of Walmart to be able to go head to head against companies like Amazon.
Yeah.
A little closer to home, you have another portfolio company, Menguin, which started out as a very small tuxedo rental website, and based on a lot of changes that were made to their content marketing strategy, they already knew who their target market was, but I think that coming into the portfolio,
their strategic messaging was off.
Yeah, it emphasized for them just how important it was to get the content in front of the right people at the right time, because the wedding industry is all driven on image and content. When a prospective bride and groom are thinking about their wedding, the visual imagery is what gets them. When they see something beautiful, they think, I want that in my wedding. I want my wedding to be that beautiful. So with that strategy, Menguin was able to up their game significantly, and it has led to an acquisition by
Men's Warehouse?
Yeah, the founder of Men's Warehouse, not Men's Warehouse.
Yeah.
The founder and former CEO of Men's Warehouse.
I remember the Men's Warehouse connection there. For I think it was like $25 million.
That's the number I had in mind too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes to this, to kind of nip this up, ultimately, when your go-to-market strategy, you need to understand who your first 100 users are. If you're a SaaS or a higher level company, like if you're B2B, you understand who your first 100 customers are, and you need to relentlessly attack and approach them. Not like attack isn't like, but like figure out what they want, figure out how they want it, how they want to be talked to. That should be your key goal. You can never niche down enough in the beginning as long as you understand where you're going. So, we understand, for Engine, for example, we understand where we want to be in 3 to 5 years, but that's not where we start. We start with the first 100 people that are going to be our customers, and we want to serve them, perfectly, if we can. And so that's what you do. You need to find who that core audience is, who you can serve very well, who you can speak to very well. Go and do that, test, fail, and then refine that message. And then once you have that message, allow network effects to then grow and propel you forward. Last question is from Reddit, and it asks, networking with nothing to give. Over the last few months, I've been getting to know the startup community in my city. I met a great individual, and he's been putting me on to great opportunities to get me further in the community. The problem is, as I'm just starting out and trying to build my network, I feel like I have nothing to give. What steps should I take to prevent myself from being a vampire and just taking value without giving any in return? I love that he called himself a vampire. I think you can speak to this specifically from a developer's standpoint, and then I'll just kind of go high level afterwards. So he is a developer, by the way.
Okay.
Context.
Good. It's good to know. So you're a developer, and you want to know what you can give back. Now, I think in there he mentioned not wanting to do a lot of free work, and I agree with that. That is, you don't want to do that if
Why?
You can help it.
Why don't you want to do free work?
It devalues it. You are perceived as less valuable if you're giving people free work, and that's true in any profession, development or even marketing.
Even if it's an exchange?
An exchange is different.
So you're giving me mentorship for free work. Does it devalue my work?
Not necessarily, as long as the parameters are set out. The problem is that free work leads mainly to more free work. So, and that's not a
exposure.
That's not a sustainable path for anyone who isn't already independently wealthy. If you want to contribute to open source projects full time, that's great. Just go make a lot of money first so that you can eat. But to answer this fellow's actual question, there is more that you can give beyond that. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is good advice. Because if you're in this startup community and you're speaking to a lot of people who are not themselves developers, I can tell you that they have trust issues with most of the people they've worked with already. So if you can be and portray yourself as someone who can be counted on for trustworthy, unbiased advice, you will soon have all the questions you can answer. And that's absolutely invaluable to the people that you're talking to. For them to be able to call you up or email you and say, I'm thinking about doing this thing, and I met with someone, and they told me that it would have to happen this way. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And for them to trust that the answer you give them is good,
Yeah.
that's worth more than you could give them a free development time.
You're a non-developer's BS meter.
Yes, yes. And it's also important to be able to say, I don't know the answer to that. And you can either say, I don't know, and I really can't find out, or you can research it for them and then in the process gain that knowledge yourself. But yeah, definitely just offering your advice, even advice on, oh, I know that person, you want to work with them, or the opposite.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things. The advice that you give those people, I think, will be worth much more than straight up development time.
Yeah. Well, and I think it comes down to that. It's your giving of your time. Time is one of the most valuable assets that we have, if not the most valuable asset we have. And so you giving your time, I mean, if it's as simple as if you have nothing to give to that person, figure out if you can send them a gift, write them a card, do something that shows that you're truly appreciative of what they're doing for you, and then also, like you said, give of your time. I love that you're asking this question, because ultimately, if you're worried about this, it makes me believe that your heart is in the right place. If someone's giving to you and all you're thinking about is how you give back, that's a very good strategy to continue to live off of. And I'm going to imagine, I'm going to go out on a guess here, that you actually are giving back more than you think you are. So continue with that thought. Really I don't have anything else to add to it. Give of your time, give of your expertise. Knowledge and the transfer of that knowledge is something that you have that you can give freely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. Question of the day to wrap up the episode. What I want to think about. I actually want to, talking about content and talking about from the first question, the types of content that you can produce for an adjacent industry. I want to hear an example that y'all have of a company that has done a very weird content play that you think has done very well. So I'll give you an example. Casey Neistat with Beam, his technology company. He started a daily vlog on YouTube about 15 months before they launched the company. And his entire goal with the vlog was to be able to talk about his company. So, it doesn't make sense, a lifestyle travel vlog, leading into talking about a tech development, but it worked. So if you have any examples of that, I'd love to find out below. What is your favorite example of just content? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you tomorrow.